everyone. I'm talking to you today from a courtyard of one of my favorite places in the world, the Parajanov Museum in Yerevan, Armenia. This beautiful house, made of solid dark stone, was constructed atop an amazingly steep hill just several feet away from a fantastical gorge that seems to cut right through the very heart of the city.
Parajanov dreamt of building this house with his own two hands. He didn't manage to do that in his lifetime. He had many dreams for this space. For example, he wanted to have a room full of nothing else but glass, a hole of light, he called it in Russian. This house was a present from Soviet Armenian authorities.
Born Sergei Parajanov in 1924 in Tbilisi, Georgia, Parajanov was a brilliantly experimental filmmaker. Parajanov's work was an almost mocking rejection of the nonsensical Soviet adage, nationalist in form, socialist in content. Parajanov's films are national classics in several countries. Shadow of Forgotten Ancestors recounts an episode in Ukrainian history. The legend of Suram Fortress takes place in Georgia, and Ashib Kerib in Azerbaijan. As for Parajanov's masterpiece, Naranguine, or The Color of Pomegranates, it's probably the best-known Armenian film ever made. And like the Bard Sayadnova, whom the film is based on, Parajanov traveled throughout the Caucasus, in his case, making films about each nation's history. As Parajanov once famously said, "I was born in Georgia, worked in Ukraine, and I plan to die in Armenia." Soviet Armenian authorities started building this house in the early 1980s. As you can see, the museum is built in the old Caucasian style. Traditional drawings and sculptures are thrown in with unique collages, assemblages, drawings, dolls, and exotic costumes and hats, as well as original posters, festival prizes, and signed letters by filmmakers such as Federico Fellini, François Truffaut, and Andrei Tarkovsky. I sat down at the museum with Levan Abrahamian, a renowned Armenian anthropologist and Parajanov scholar.
One might think that in today's advanced technological age, Parajanov's technical simplicity might be frowned upon, but it still fascinates people. It's safe to say that he invented a whole new cinematic language.
The Color of Pomegranates best displays Parajanov's uniquely fantastical sensibility. Fashionable mise-en-scène, ornate costuming, and cultural ceremonies were the androgynous features and doubly gendered roles played by the Georgian actress Sofiko Chiruli. Parajanov also had a sly sense of humor, as when he showcased a llama during a scene shot at the monastery of Khakhbat.
People who weren't familiar with his sense of humor used to think that he liked making jokes, but those weren't actually jokes. The llama that he used in the film was a metaphor, a way of implying that the monks were having sexual relationships with llamas.
His film scripts often came into conflict with Soviet authorities who found them too nationalistic or not in the spirit of socialist brotherhood. But Parajanov was nothing if not resilient. A portly man known for running, singing down the streets of his native Tbilisi, Parajanov always recovered from adversity. Unable to make the films that he wanted to, he turned to the fine arts. Parajanov created dreamlike worlds reminiscent of the American artist Joseph Cornell. He was twice imprisoned by Soviet authorities for issues ranging from nationalism to homosexuality.
His homosexuality became an excuse for imprisoning and isolating him. It was just a pretext, you understand. It wasn't the actual reason. You see, since he wasn't a dissident, the Soviet authorities couldn't imprison him on political grounds. He was a free man. He existed outside any system. People sometimes ask, what would his life have been like if he had lived in America or France? I know the answer. He would have still gotten into trouble, different trouble.
So beloved was a filmmaker that famous directors such as Truffaut and Fellini successfully came to his rescue. Amazingly, they were able to have him released from Soviet prison in what became known internationally as l'affaire Parajanov. And a recent exhibition named Parajanov in Fashion featured updated contemporary riffs on the master's work by some of Armenia's most talented designers, including Vahan Khachaturian.
Italian designer Antonio Maras, Russian designer Yuliana Sergenko, and a few well-known Ukrainian designers all have designed collections inspired by Parajanov.
Even Lady Gaga's a fan, as evidenced by the homage she paid to the Color of Pomegranates in her 2020 video 911, directed by Parsam Singh. Sergei Parajanov, the Armenian king of kitsch, will be remembered long after his tormentors and detractors have passed into oblivion.